Welcome to Whiteboard Docker Sessions. This is part 2. My name is Anjubika. The agenda for the session: introduction of Docker and its components, Docker engine and Docker architecture, and the practical lab exercises. Introduction. Docker is, we can say Docker is an open platform for developing, shipping, running applications. This is one way to isolate applications from each other. Docker enable you to separate your application from your infrastructure, from rest of other applications, so you can deliver software quickly. This is simple. This is sourced from Docker. This is simple introduction. We will discuss more on why Docker created a trend, the power of Docker, the richness of APIs, the tools in the upcoming sessions. Let's discuss Docker and its components. The core component of the Docker is Docker engine, Docker container, and the Docker images. We already had touched the relation between these two, what is image and what is a container. We'll elaborate more. Docker daemon and Docker registry. Let's discuss about Docker engine, one of the main core component of Docker. Docker engine is a client-server based application with these three following elements: Docker daemon, REST API, client CLI. Docker daemon server, it is a continuously running process. The command is Docker D. The REST API, this is an interface to talk to Docker daemon. To talk to Docker daemon, to instruct the Docker daemon what to do, this REST API is used. Client CLI, client, this Docker is rich of CLI commands. This is also one of the reasons why Docker is very popular among DevOps community. It is rich of commands and easy of use of commands. Completely abstracted commands, fully abstracted, complete abstraction, very high level commands, abstracting all the low level details. So any command is executed, this command is going through REST API to CLI. This Docker daemon is managing data volumes, images, containers, networking. It does a lot. We are going to discuss each and every one: data volume in one session, images and containers in one session, networking in one session. Docker architecture. Let's dive into the Docker architecture. In Docker architecture, we can see three major roles here. One is client, Docker host, and registry. When you see the client, this is, we are talking about the CLI, client CLI. This client CLI provides interface for the users or clients to execute their commands. These commands are going through the API layer as discussed previously. The daemon sits here on top of API, on top of the client. Daemon, API, client. One of the reasons why Docker is creating trend is the ease of use, reach of API and fully abstracted commands. These commands are very easy to use. And when the client is using this one to execute their commands, these commands are going through API to the Docker daemon. So those Docker daemon is responsible for executing those commands. That is the role of the client. Then when it comes to the registry, before we discuss the host, if we jump into the registry is like a storage location for the images. Those who are familiar with the Java programming language, they can consider this as a Maven repository. In the Maven repository is like a storage for the Maven artifacts. Again, in the Maven repository, there is a concept called public repositories, private repositories. The same concept is used here. In the registry is a location of the images. Again, public and private registries. By default, when the Docker is installed, it is configured in such a way it automatically connects to the public repository of Docker, which is Docker Hub. Docker Hub is a public Docker repository. And we will discuss in the upcoming sessions how to set up a private repository and how to change the configurations Docker to look for the images in the private repository. Now comes to Docker host. The Docker host, the daemon, we already discussed about the daemon, and images and containers. Let's discuss the images. What is an image? Image is nothing but a read-only template. With the instructions to create Docker container. So as we discussed in our previous sessions, it is like a template. This is image is a template. And most interestingly, when creating images, they always create new images based on the existing images. How it works, for example, when we have an image, this is the image, the Docker images are formed like layers. Layer 1, layer 2, this image is consisting of 3 layers. When a new image I2 is prepared by using I1, these are inherited in this one, means 3 layers, again one more extended layer. So we will elaborate of the concept of preparing Docker images. The clients execute the command here. This is the command used to prepare the images, build. And when it comes to container is an instance, we can consider as an instance of an image. Again, there exist many commands by using client, run, stop, container, delete. There exist many commands. We will elaborate more in the upcoming sessions. From one image, we can create any number of containers. So far, we discussed the introduction. We went through the containerization, virtual machines, evolution of container technology, Docker engine and Docker architecture. And now it is the time to do the lab exercises. We are starting with 2 commands. One is poll, another one is run. As we discussed in the previous lecture, this is CLI interface, Docker host, This is Docker Hub. It is a public registry. When a client is executing pull command, when it's reaching to the Docker daemon is responsible for executing these commands. This daemon checks for connects to the Docker Hub public repository. During that installation, there is no need to do extra work. When you install Docker, automatically it connects to the public repository. It goes to the Docker Hub repository and it fetches the image. This is the full one. The syntax is going to be a Docker for image name. The second one we are going to discuss is a run command. When you want to run a container, as we discussed the relation between an image and a container. To create a container, you need to have an image first. Image is a read-only template. Once you have the image, you can create any number of containers by using that image. When you're trying to run a command, the syntax is Docker run image name. So whenever the client is executing through CLI, run command is reaching to daemon, the daemon checks for that required image in the local registry. If it finds, then it creates container by using that image. Otherwise, if it doesn't find the image in the local registry, it connects to the Docker Hub. It pulls that image into the local registry. From there, it creates the container. These are the two commands. Open your terminal or command prompt if you are using Windows. Check for the Docker version. Type Docker -- version. So this is the current version 19.03.13. Open the Docker Hub. The URL is hub.docker.com. First, we have to look for the images here. So if you want to install Tomcat, look for the Tomcat image. When you go for the Tomcat, this is TomE. If you want to install TomE, if we click here, now under tags, these are the different tags are available. To pull an image, Docker pull Tomcat. If you want to pull the latest one, then there is no need to specify :latest. For all other tags except latest, you have to specify the tag name. So we'll go through that. Let's take this command, type here, pull Docker pull image. So if it is, the tag name is optional for the latest. For other tags, you have to specify the tag name. Now it starts downloading using the default tag. So whenever we are not specifying the tag, the latest is going to be the default tag. So that's why it is prompted using default tag latest. Now it starts downloading. I'm going to pause this video. I will come back to you once download finished. Now it is downloaded a newer image for TomEE : latest. So Docker IO/library TomEE. Now we can run that image. To run that image, Docker run. We're going to specify the container name, my TomEE, that is the name of image. Then name of the container. Then we are going to specify this image. Now let's see docker run followed by the attribute we are specifying. If you want to give the name for the container you are creating, you can specify. If you don't want to give, then it's going to be the default name is going to come. Then followed by the space, followed by the image name. So enter. Now it is started. Your container is started here. Let's stop this container. Then going back to the Docker Hub, and we are going to interested in another tag 8.0.5 plus. If we go for this tag, so these are the layers. We will discuss these layers, how it works. So just copy the complete image name colon the tag name. So now what we are going to do here, now we are going to docker run the container name. We're going to give Tom EE8 and we are specifying the image name. If we check this one, docker run command, we are giving the container we want to create. The container name we are giving here. This is the Tomcat image. This Tomcat image is not available in the local registry. Whenever it is not available, as we discussed previously, it is trying to fetch first. So the run command, it also includes the pull. If it is unable to find the registry, it pulls the image and see this is the image colon. We are interested in this tag. If you are not specifying the tag, then by default is the latest. So we are interested in 8.0.5 plus tag we want to run. Now if we enter, we can see the first line, unable to find the image locally. So again, that is the reason, again it's going to pull the image first. Once the image is pulled, then it's going to create the container. So I'm going to pause this video. It's going to take some time to download that image. Once the image is downloaded, it is going to start that container. Now if we check these logs here, so it is trying to downloading. So here downloaded newer image for Tom EE 8.0.5 plus. Then after that it started the container. So these are the two commands. The pull command only pulls the image. Let's recap of what we discussed. The pull command, it pulls the, so here docker host, this is CLI, this is Docker Hub, this is Docker host, this is Docker Hub. When a client is executing run command, then is reaching to Docker daemon. It checks for that image locally before creating a container. If it is unable to find, it pulls that image into the local registry, then it starts the container. On the other hand, the pull command is just the Docker daemon goes to the Docker Hub, just pulls into the local registry. All the best and see you guys in the upcoming session.